Never accept the red wristband at the carnival no matter what prize they promise. The carnival only comes once a year. No posters. No website. Just a sudden flare of lights in the abandoned field near Route 17 and a line of cars forming like they knew it was coming. I went out of curiosity last year. I shouldn't have. From the outside, it looked like any other traveling carnival, rickety rides, neon lights flickering in the night, the scent of cotton candy and oil floating through the air. The laughter was louder than usual, sharp and shrill, almost forced. But no one seemed to notice. They were drawn to it like moths, excited and glassy-eyed. At the entrance, a woman in an old-fashioned ticket booth smiled without blinking and asked, "Blue or red wristband?" I asked what the difference was. She leaned closer, whispered, "Red gets you the real prizes," and slid one across the counter. I hesitated. She never offered the blue one again. I should have walked away. I didn't. As soon as the red wristband touched my skin, the carnival changed. The laughter stopped. Or rather, it didn't, it just started coming from mouths that weren't moving. Children ran by me without touching the ground. A man juggling knives caught my eye, and I swear his grin reached his ears. Literally. No one else seemed alarmed. Not even when the fire breather exhaled something black that slithered into the crowd. I tried to remove the wristband, but it clung to my skin like it had sunk into me. Every ride I took twisted into something worse. The carousel horses had human eyes that blinked and followed me. The Ferris wheel turned upside down at the top, holding me suspended over a pit that hadn't been there before, a chasm lined with mirrors that didn't show reflections, but movements that hadn't happened yet. I saw myself fall. I got off at the next rotation, shaking, but the carnival worker just tipped his hat, mouth sewn shut with wire. Around midnight, the prize tent opened, glowing red, drawing only those with red bands. I saw others with the same mark, blank-faced and nodding, lured in by promises of riches, youth, wishes granted. I didn't go in, but I watched. One girl asked for her dead sister back. She got her, sort of. The thing that came out of the tent had her sister's face, stretched tight over something else. Something that didn't stop smiling. The girl didn't scream. She just took its hand and walked into the dark. The carnival closed without warning. The lights blinked out. The people vanished. I found myself standing in that field again, the wristband finally loose enough to pull off. I burned it in my sink that night, and the smoke turned violet and screamed. Since then, I see the same people sometimes, on buses, in shops. Still wearing red. Still smiling too long. It's coming back next week. I know it is. I feel it in my teeth. Don't go. And if you do, for the love of God, don't take the red wristband. Even if they say you've already won. Because you haven't. You've only been chosen. The week leading up to its return was worse than any nightmare I'd ever had. Every night, I'd wake at exactly 3:03 a.m., heart pounding, drenched in sweat, to the distant sound of carnival music, tinny and slow, like it was being played on a warped record. Each night, it got louder. Closer. I looked outside, but there was nothing. Just black sky and silence. But when I checked my phone, the calendar had been overwritten. Every day simply read prepare. I tried to delete it. I tried everything, factory reset, new device, SIM change. The word always returned. The people I'd seen from that night with the red wristbands started showing up more frequently. At my work. On the street. Watching from across the room at the grocery store. I'd blink and they'd vanish. Their eyes had a red shimmer now, like something alive was swimming behind their pupils. I once saw a man with a red wristband stand in the middle of traffic, smiling, arms outstretched as cars barreled toward him. Not a single one hit him. They passed through like smoke, and then he turned to me and mouthed, "You're next." On the seventh night, I woke up in my bed but everything was off. My apartment was cold, and I could hear laughter coming from the hallway, childlike, but layered with something else. Guttural. Wrong. I opened my bedroom door and the hallway was impossibly long, walls coated in faded carnival posters I'd never put up. At the far end was the woman from the ticket booth, standing still, eyes black and dripping. She raised a red wristband slowly and pointed at me. I slammed the door and locked it, heart rattling like it would tear out of my chest. Then came the pounding. From inside the walls. Above the ceiling. Under my bed. I curled up and waited for morning. But it never came. My clock spun through hours like it was caught in a storm, blinking between 12 o'clock and 3:03, over and over again. I passed out at some point, or maybe I was taken, I don't know. When I came to, I was already back in the field. Alone. Except I wasn't. The carnival wasn't there, but the dirt was scorched in its shape. The Ferris wheel's shadow remained burned into the grass, but nothing stood there. The smell of popcorn and rot filled the air. A single red balloon floated toward me from the sky, impossibly slow, its string curling into the word return. I ran. I ran until I couldn't breathe, until the horizon broke into city lights and real people. But no one would listen. No one believed me. They told me I needed sleep. That maybe I'd had a breakdown. But I know what's real. I know what I saw. And I know what's coming. I got a letter yesterday. No return address. Just a red wax seal with a grin pressed into it. Inside, a ticket. Not for admission, but for reclamation. It had my name etched into it in something that looked disturbingly like dried blood. The paper twitched when I touched it. I burned it. It grew back in my mailbox the next morning. The carnival doesn't just visit once a year. It chooses its dates. And if you've ever worn the red wristband, even for a moment, it never forgets you. It marks you. It watches you from the folds of your reality until it's ready to peel it back and take you in again. So now I wait, every night dreading the music that comes from nowhere, the scent of sugar mixed with decay, the eyes in the dark that never blink. It's not about going back anymore. That's inevitable. The carnival's coming for me. And this time, it's not offering prizes. It's collecting debt. I tried to run. Not just down streets or into crowds, but far. Different city. Different name. Left everything behind. Tossed my phone in a river. Deleted every account. I went so far off the grid that even I began to forget who I was. But it didn't matter. The debt had been signed in something more permanent than ink. And you can't outrun blood once it starts calling. The first real sign came when I started losing time. I'd black out for minutes, then hours. Once, I came to standing barefoot in an empty parking lot, wrists sticky with melted cotton candy, and my hands trembling around a rolled-up poster I don't remember picking up. It was a map. But not of a city. Not of any terrain that could exist on Earth. It was a layout of the carnival grounds. But bigger. Expanding. In places that shouldn't have dimensions. One corner of the map simply read, "The Moa." Another was marked "Memory Bins, do not enter alone." Soon after, I stopped sleeping altogether. Not because I didn't want to, but because sleep started pulling me through. Whenever I closed my eyes, I'd fall directly into that place, as if sleep was now the ticket. I'd open my eyes to see booths rotting in place, colors wrong, sounds bent backwards like screams in rewind. The faces of the crowd blurred, smeared like wet paint, with wide mouths that never closed. They'd circle me in laughter without laughter, joyless and hungry. Every time I woke, I'd find something new near my bed. A single clown shoe. A red feather. A wristband. Once, an entire caramel apple with a bite missing, my bite. One morning, I found writing carved into the wall above my bed. Not with ink or paint, but something like a claw. It read, "Midway that never sleeps." That night, I stayed awake for 72 hours straight. But exhaustion is its own invitation. When I finally passed out, I didn't wake in my apartment. I woke up strapped to a ride. One of those spinning ones where the floor drops out. Only there was no floor. Just blackness. No sound. Just the whirring of something alive in the machinery beneath. As it spun, I saw others, faces I almost recognized from crowds or old dreams, all strapped in, all screaming, but no sound came out. Just their eyes, begging. Then the power cut. And we dropped. When I awoke, I was back in my bed. But the air smelled like rust. Like copper. Like blood. And my sheets were soaked through. I checked the mirror and found my wristband back on, this time etched into the skin like a burn. I clawed at it, but it wouldn't bleed. It pulsed. Like something under the skin. The world hasn't been the same since. I can feel it bleeding in. The rules of reality have thinned. Yesterday, I walked past a child selling balloons on the street corner. When I turned around, he had no eyes. Just hollow sockets full of confetti. He smiled and whispered, "We saw you spin." No one else noticed. The final blow came last night. I opened the door to my apartment and the hallway was wrong again. Too long. Too dark. Laughter echoing from nowhere. But this time, I stepped forward. I don't know why. Maybe I was done running. Maybe the fear had rotted into something else. Something numb. As I walked, the wallpaper changed. Faded carnival stripes. Bloody fingerprints. Dozens of ticket stubs glued to the walls like scales. Each with a name. Mine was the last. As I reached it, a hand reached out from the wall and touched my chest. Cold. Final. And in that moment, I understood. It wasn't collecting debt as punishment. This was a system. A cycle. It needs to consume. Every visitor that walks away owing something feeds its growth. It gets bigger. Stronger. We are its currency. And the more fear we spread, the more others buy tickets. You reading this now? That's part of it. You've seen too much. Thought about it too long. That flicker at the edge of your vision? The sweet smell creeping in through the cracks of your room? That faint music you'll hear when you close your eyes tonight? Congratulations. You've been marked. And it's already printed your ticket.